Thank you for watching candlestick trading video. Hi Long, thanks for your reply. Very helpful. I live in the UK. What with Brexit coming up next week, I would to hear what are your thoughts on trading the pound or the euro. Regards. Euro pairs, pound pairs all sell, but most efficient pair is New Zealand Swiss and Australia Swiss sell trade like this because required margin less than euro and pound pairs. You can take profit 2 times more than the usual trade. Thank you.